The war is over. Trump signed it, Iran signed it. But here's what almost nobody is reporting. The document they signed doesn't actually end anything. It just starts a 60-day countdown. This isn't abstract. This war shut down 20% of the world's oil shipping route for nearly 4 months. Your gas price, your flight prices, your shipping delays, all of it was downstream of this conflict. Here's the part that should shock you. The deal does not resolve a single one of the original war goals. Not Iran's nuclear stockpile, not its missile program, not its support for armed groups. All of it pushed into the future. In this video, I'll walk you through exactly how this war started, what's actually in the agreement that ended it, and the specific date that determines whether this peace holds or whether everything restarts. This war began on the 28th of February 2026 with combined US and Israeli strikes on Iran. The stated goal was sweeping, destroy Iran's missile arsenal, cut off its support for regional proxy groups, and prevent it from ever building a nuclear weapon. For over 5 weeks, fighting continued without pause. Iran retaliated by targeting US installations and disrupting traffic through the Strait of Hormuz, one of the most critical oil routes on Earth. On April 7th and 8th, the US and Iran agreed to a ceasefire that included Israel, but it didn't hold cleanly. What followed instead was weeks of brinkmanship, both sides testing how far they could push without restarting the war. During this period, the disruption to the Strait of Hormuz caused fuel shortages across parts of Asia, with effects rippling through the global economy. Flights in and out of the Middle East were halted. Shipping routes were rerouted entirely to avoid the region. On June 14th, mediators announced a memorandum of understanding intended to bring the war to a formal end within 60 days of being signed by the presidents of both countries. On June 17th, Trump signed the agreement at the Palace of Versailles in France, on the sidelines of the G7 summit. Iranian President Pezeshkian signed his copy separately, sharing it publicly and calling it, quote, a message from a strong Iran. It's a 14-point memorandum. The headline terms: immediate and permanent termination of military operations. The Strait of Hormuz reopens completely, and the US lifts its blockade on Iranian ports. Here's the catch: most headlines are skipping. Iran agreed to allow safe, toll-free passage of commercial vessels through Hormuz, but only for 60 days. After that, Iran negotiates with Oman over who actually controls the route long-term. On the nuclear program, the issue that started this entire war, the agreement says Iran reaffirms it will not develop nuclear weapons, but how to handle its existing stockpile of enriched material. That's left to a, quote, mutually agreed mechanism. In other words, undecided. And according to reporting from the Times of Israel, Tehran secured large-scale economic relief and only agreed in principle to later dilute its uranium stockpile, not surrender it. Iran's government remains in place. Its ballistic missile program has not been destroyed. Even Trump, standing at the G7 summit, undercut the celebratory tone himself. His exact words: if you don't adhere to the agreement, we're going to bomb the hell out of you. That is not the language of a war that is truly finished. While Iran and the US were negotiating, a separate front stayed active: Israel's operations against Hezbollah in southern Lebanon, which continued even as the main ceasefire talks progressed. The 14-point memorandum specifically calls for an immediate end to Israeli military action in Lebanon. And just 2 days after signing, on June 19th, Israel and Hezbollah agreed to halt fighting as well. Risk analyst Torbjorn Soltvedt put it plainly: Iran will retain, quote, significant leverage when negotiators eventually turn to its nuclear program, missile threat, and support for armed groups across the region. The hard conversations haven't happened yet, they've only been scheduled. So here's the honest summary. The shooting has stopped, oil is flowing again. That is real, and it matters. Fewer people are dying right now than were dying in March. But none of the root causes of this war have actually been resolved. Mark your calendar 60 days from June 17th. That's roughly mid-August 2026. That is when the toll-free Hormuz passage expires and when the nuclear stockpile question is supposed to actually get resolved, not just acknowledged. Nobody, not analysts, not diplomats, not Trump himself, can tell you with certainty what happens when that window closes. That uncertainty isn't a flaw in this story. It's the actual story. Do you think this peace holds past August? Or does this region go right back to where it started? Tell me in the comments and subscribe, because I'll be tracking this 60-day window as it plays out, week by week.